Well, looks like my intro's not working. Something's up with the intros here, not working as it should. Oh my god, what's the deal with Realis's face? Realist, we're live here, man. The little intro didn't work. Something's up with it. Must be a StreamYard thing. Not my problem, so I'll figure that out later. How you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
I saw
Can you hear
sick.
me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I
No,
can hear you.
I can see the little circle light up.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I have to get
My
some
intro
refill
my
on
intro
this.
wasn't working, so I had to cancel that little intro part
Wham,
of it.
wham, 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 wham.
But I don't think we need that right now because it's not a hype day today, right? So so an unfortunate day. Everybody was kind of want to wake up to some great news today on a Wednesday afternoon, and it turns out to be a not so great Wednesday afternoon or morning for us. CMA is the afternoon. What's up, doctor? And
Doctor.
we're I'm here in Dallas area, so it's rainy and gloomy, so it kind of fits in with the conditions that with the situation that we have right now with the ABK deal just kind of getting shot down by the CMA, which I still don't understand how one regulatory body can block an entire deal. You know what I mean? Um,
Uh,
so
I'll
that's
tell you.
yeah, I mean that's something I don't understand. So um but yeah, I mean, of everything, like I read the thing that they posted. It's not that very long. It's not really that hard to understand. Um, but their main concern was Game Cloud of all things, and I think that's kind of throwing everybody off. And they're preventing this deal to go through because of cloud gaming. They think it's going to lead into more less innovation. Well, somebody had to start it. you know, whether it was Google trying with their Stadia, whether it's Xbox with their, cloud gaming platform. And there's been others before Xbox tried to do it, but they all failed, right? We had, what was it, Gaikai that was out and Sony took over them.
Mm-hmm.
There was, I think there was a couple more that they just been forgotten,
There's a
right?
bunch of them.
There's been a few that's just been forgotten in the past because they tried, which is fine, but they failed because it just didn't take off. Maybe it was the wrong timing. Maybe their infrastructure wasn't up to par to handle that type of service, and it just went away. So here comes Microsoft a few years later with their cloud gaming, and it's not their primary way of gaming. That's the thing, right? It's an option. You can use it or you don't have to. You can use the hardware, you can use PC. Um, it's just there's different methods to play games, and for them to say, hey, our biggest concern is cloud gaming, that's a crock of crap, man. You know,
It
um,
is.
whose fault is it if they can't compete? It's not Microsoft, because if they can do it, then others have a kind of baseline. It's like, okay, Microsoft, what are they doing right that maybe we can take that model of what Microsoft is doing and make it better for our company. For, let's just say, Sony, right? And if Sony can come up with their own stable, better offering platform for cloud gaming, then that's their own fault. That can't How can you blame that? So you're punishing Microsoft for being innovative and pushing the envelope for cloud gaming and protect the ones who can't do it because they just don't have the know-how and the expertise to do it. You follow me? I mean, that's how I
Well,
see it.
well, the thing is that when it comes to cloud gaming, Microsoft is or cloud, period. Microsoft is number one. So you have to look at the major players, right? The I guess you consider Stadia, right? One of the major players. They're at least one of the $1 trillion boys
And they
club, right?
tried. They tried, right?
They backed out, right?
Yeah.
They're the only ones who opposed out of all the cloud competitors, right? Because the thing is, Microsoft is stricken deals with everybody, even the ones we don't even know, except for Luna, right? And Amazon already said they don't want to buy Amazon, right? I mean, I'm sorry, they don't want to buy Activision.
Yeah.
So if it's not Microsoft, then who? But it's not Microsoft's fault. And then you brought up Sony. Sony doesn't even have a cloud infrastructure
No. No.
because guess what? Microsoft is there with their hand out, offering them to use Azure for their cloud gaming. So whether they use Microsoft or somebody else, it has no bearing on what Microsoft's able to do with their cloud, right?
Yeah.
Microsoft should not be penalized for being first movers to cloud or one of the among the first movers to cloud. They should not be penalized for trying to make their service attractive. But this is not about any of that. This is about them wasting time and dragging this out
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just an
because
excuse.
Microsoft has already struck up a deal with just about everyone. So how are they lowering and lessening innovation by closing this deal, but they're still offering the games? If Activision remains independent, how innovative was Activision? They were basically a World of Warcraft and Call of Duty factory, right?
Yeah.
And then King was doing their thing. So how innovative were they? What were they really bringing to the marketplace? We've not seen Activision do something unique or even a reboot in forever. Okay, they did try with a Ratchet, not Ratchet. It's a game like Ratchet. What is that game? Crash Bandicoot.
Mm-hmm.
They tried to bring Ratchet, Crash Bandicoot back. They have Crash Racing, and then they're trying to do like this battle type of thing. But other than that, what do they really do? So, in my opinion, Microsoft will be allowing them to be innovative, and they've already promised the entire catalog, not just Activision, to these cloud service providers.
Right.
Nvidia, uh, Google got out. That's not Microsoft's fault. That's Google's problem, not Microsoft's, right?
Yeah.
So they don't have anything to stand up. But what it is, we had a discussion about this earlier. Uh, there have not been any democratic countries to agree to this or approve it. It's all been communist countries. And then, when it comes to the democracy in these countries that subscribe to it, United States is the leader, and Lena Khan they've already called her out about colluding with these other regulators to get them to see things her way. So all they're doing is wasting time. There's nothing that they can do, especially when it comes to cloud, nascent technology. It has little to no adoption in the grand scheme of gaming. It's mobile, PC than consoles. Very small percentage of people's gaming is coming from cloud. Now, Nvidia, they're getting the cloud because they know that one day cloud will be the future and they won't be able to sell as many graphics cards.
Yeah.
But they don't have anything. They're not bringing anything. None of these companies can afford Activision, and Activision wants to be bought.
Besides, Nvidia will just use those GPUs in the cloud. Like that's already making them a lot more money than selling GPUs and all their hardware to directly to gamers and consumers anyway. So, like they're the one of the ones who's powering the cloud besides Microsoft. They're the ones with the hardware that's powering the cloud. So, yeah,
Yeah, but I don't see this or anything else stopping the deal. It's just holding it up. Uh, you ask how one country can stop the deal is because Microsoft agreed that in order for them to get this deal passed, or I'm sorry, in order to complete the purchase, they would go through all the regulatory bodies and get their approval.
All right.
But
Let's pause here for a second. So Jeremy Brown comes in. He says, "TOTM, this is BS." All right. I'm not that cool. I'm not that young. What
yeah,
does
I was about to
TOTM
ask.
means?
I don't know. TOTM.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah,
So
it's
Jeremy,
wrecking my brain.
you're gonna have to type that out for me because I have no
I,
idea.
I would Google it, but like, yeah,
Yeah.
they're just dragging this out,
And I'm
and
sure we'll feel real foolish moments later because it'll be like, oh, okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe you will because I don't care. I don't speak jargon and I don't
Well,
speak
that's like
acronym.
that's like when my son plays. when it's playing a lot of PC at the very beginning, it's like, Dad, don't mess with my keyboard. I'm AFK. It's like, what the hell are you talking about?
Okay, I know what that means.
No, you should know what AFK is. Nah, that's not valid. You see what I'm saying? But something TOTM, get out of here.
Speak your your PC goofy jargon when it
Hey,
comes to like these acronyms.
hey, but one of the ones
Acronym is
I was
older than he is by twice as much.
one of the ones I was proud of myself for figuring out was AFIK.
AFI, what is that?
As
As
if
far
I
as
know.
far as far as I
As far
know.
as I know,
Oh,
yeah.
as far as I
Yeah, yeah. But if you listen to what Microsoft's saying, and then I'll shut up. Uh, they're saying that they're going to go forward without the FTC, right? They've already said that they could go forward without some of these regulatory bodies.
I mean,
So
okay. When you say that, do you mean they can continue with the deal by Activision
yeah,
without
they can.
anybody's approval?
They can, but the problem that but they've said this. But my thing is, if you put it in the contract that you would do it, you would complete it with their approval. How would you be able to say now you don't want to do it unless it's somewhere, unless there's some type of clause in it,
Yeah.
But they they aren't going to stop it, and then that's why if you pay attention to what they say, it's they're they're not backing down. It'll
No,
be
they're not.
completed.
They're not. No.
They expect scrutiny, but this for cloud, bro. When you already committed to have all of them
Well, yeah. I
that
mean,
that matter.
I can already see the document here. It's like, or the Word document. Somebody at the CMA reading all these bullet points where Xbox going to do this, it's going to do this. Look at all these 10-year contracts that they're signing. They're they're willing to share the game catalog with other people and not just make it exclusive. But this one bullet point at the very bottom that says cloud gaming. Well, we can't have that. So you know what? We're going to strike it down.
You know what? I'm gonna take that example you use and twist it just a little bit, right?
Okay.
Because this is how I really see it. But it's 90% of that. What it is was I feel like they were looking for some sort of excuse. They lost in everything else. They were looking for something, and then boom, here's what they found. But it doesn't even. It smells of desperation, right? And shout out to Sean786 his stream this morning when I woke up. I was getting dressed. I had the TV on when I first. I popped on the TV, see some news, whatever, right?
This guy said, boom, I'm going to watch something right now.
I'm getting dressed or whatever, you put on the news or whatever. So I popped on YouTube and, there's a lot of headlines. There's a lot of things I follow, like news organization I follow. So, the little headlines I'll see in the boxes. And I see the CMA deal got blocked and it's a video by Sean, he's doing his live stream, right? And then he points out how the CMA, one of their first tweets has like, with the two eyeballs looking to the side, like, like what the hell, like on some childish, like
some kid was making that post.
Yeah. Like, what the heck is this? Especially after what they already said about everything else, right?
Right.
They came back and said the console market, all this other stuff. Like, okay, fine. So it seems like everything that that they claimed they were concerned about is all good, and in fact, that they're pretty angry at Sony for lying to them, and they still got more investigating to do with Sony. So in terms of like Sony's issues ain't over by a long shot, right?
Yeah.
But it's like they pulled this one out of their ass to be able to still act like they acting tough or they're relevant still. Like, no, not at all. It does. It smells. It stinks of this desperation to like block it in of bias and all of that. It really does.
Yeah, it's bad. I mean, I forgot. It's like this morning I was signing up for work and it's like, oh yeah, let me see what the CMA thing turned out to be, because they're 6 hours ahead of us. So I figured, by now they should have a decision. And sure enough, man, everybody's like blocked. It's like, oh crap, it got blocked. And I say, for why? And I see cloud gaming. And it's like, really? That's not even the primary way to game, anyways. And this is their concern. And I think you missed the first part of this. It's like, if nobody else is stepping up to the plate to do cloud gaming, then that's their fault. How can you penalize Microsoft for trying to innovate cloud gaming, which they have? And there have been others before Microsoft that tried and failed. And now that Microsoft are the ones innovating, time. It's a bad thing.
Conspiracy theory time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is some tinfoil hat thing, right?
Yeah.
The way that Google just dropped out, right, with Stadia, right? Like they stumbled, fell flat on their face, and just did nothing, right?
Yeah.
And even the people who worked at Stadia up until that day were being told everything is cool. Up
Yeah, they
until it
were. I
wasn't, and
remember
Google
that.
made the announcement that it was done, right?
Yeah.
So what if, because see, if Stadia hadn't died, could the CMA really have even said this? No,
Probably not. Yeah,
right?
because they're like how can Google step up and say, "Hey, we got concerns here," but it's like, but you're doing something. You're getting
Right.
pushed to innovate as well because Microsoft is doing something that nobody has done before, but to a success, you know?
Right. But Google just flat out failed and they just did nothing for like a year,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Everybody knew that a Stadia was going to die because they literally were doing nothing that whole time. They weren't really working towards fixing anything or improving anything. It's like they got out of a private plane. It's like the president or whatever getting out of the plane and falling in his face into the mud, right? And they just leave him there for a year, and then a year later they come in and they're like, yeah, this mag is dead, right?
Yeah.
All after the fact. And so now the tinfoil hat theory I have is like maybe Google did that on purpose, because it gives them this excuse, this out to use later. Because we already knew about the
So
ABK
they're gonna use it
deal
as an
was
out, say, hey, we failed because of this. This is why we blocked it, or we joined in to block this deal.
right. Because like, why else would they? Because that would have been competition. Now, had they said they don't like it, because what would they have been able to say, right?
Yeah.
Right? Because Stadia was already dead by the time they said they opposed the deal, not
Mhm.
during the time when Stadia was still active. So I
Yeah.
feel possibly this was just, like this gives the CMA some level of logic. That's the only thing I can even approach as anything like logic. It really isn't, right? To
Yeah.
be flat honest, I don't want anybody to say, "Oh, I'm saying that's not what I'm saying." It's like, because if Stadia still existed, everybody like, you can't say that because Google Stadia still exists. Luna, and even now, Luna still exists. They were
Yeah.
offered them the deal.
God,
They
I
didn't
forgot
take
about
them. What you
Luna.
want? What you want? They offered the deal and they didn't sign it. That's on them.
Yeah.
Like that. Just even further to the point.
I forgot all about Luna.
Everybody
Um,
forgot about Luna. Nobody's really messing with Luna either. Like,
yeah.
Luna is less successful than Stadia ever was. At least people like Stadia, and after their early stumbles, it actually performed very well.
Yeah.
People are always saying that, but Google sat there and did nothing with it, sat on their hands. Like, who's really messing with Luna? And their prices ridiculous. That's why people don't mess with Luna. It's not even there if it works or not, functionality or whatnot, easy use or any of those things.
But
The
wasn't that
costs are
ridiculous
stupid.
on the Stadia site too? The prices wasn't that you have to pay for their service and on top of that pay for each game.
Just like cable, it's like, yeah, you pay for the service and then you can pay for each game, or you could pay for each one of these publishers like Sega or
Right.
or Activision, whatever. And it's like cable. Now you have base cable and then you pay for HBO and Stars and all that other stuff.
Yeah. 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 Okay. Yeah. It's So now who's gonna be happy about this? Which group of people you think is gonna be super happy and rejoicing and running the streets, having a parade,
The
throwing up the
same ones
banners?
who eat hay, you know what I'm
Those
saying? They galloping in
those are
unison.
the
Now all of a
galloping
sudden out of
variety.
nowhere, all of a sudden they ain't
So
been talking in a minute. Now they talking.
all these guys who's been quiet, the ones that went silent for a while are gonna come out now like, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, I told you it's gonna be blocked. Like they knew it's gonna be blocked, right?
Hmm.
You're gonna have all these people now speaking and yapping their lips and saying, I knew this was gonna bleed. I told you guys, I was the first to tell you. It's like you weren't the first to tell anything, you know?
Yeah, they say,
Uh,
they say it just because they hope, right? It's
yeah.
like it's like a sports fan. They're gonna say their team, they're gonna win, they're gonna win,
Well, that's
and
like us
eventually,
saying it's gonna pass,
eventually
and
you
we've been
gotta
saying this
eventually you
for a
gotta
long
be right.
time. That's like us saying, "Oh, it's gonna pass. It's gonna pass," and we've been saying it for months, and then now it hasn't. Okay, it didn't pass. Okay, I mean,
Yeah, but see, those who want it to pass are looking for affirmation in that direction. Those who don't, so
yeah,
those who don't are rejoicing today. But we already knew that this wasn't gonna be like a fly by night type of thing. It's just disappointing that they're going this route with cloud gaming. It's like the most unbelievable, the most crass thing that they could come up with. It doesn't make sense to bring up cloud gaming when the probably 90% of the market is on a 10-year contract and agreement.
Yeah. And I was watching a couple of videos like Dustin and them, and they're even confused. Say it's like of all things, cloud gaming is their concern. You know,
But
this,
but but if these regulators have proven nothing else, they've proven that they're very desperate to try to create some kind of narrative to push around this. But I think that still this is their time to shine, so they're using this as an opportunity to elevate their visibility in
yeah,
this in the world because nobody really cares. But at the end of the day, even if you care nothing about gaming, if you just looked at the numbers, they've taken Nintendo out of the equation. So therefore, by definition, PlayStation is the monopoly in that region,
yeah,
right? And
By
so
default,
they
yeah.
so now they can't talk about consoles. What is it that they can? You cannot quantify. You cannot validate the statement of saying that it is going to impede innovation. You can't. You can't validate that in any way. So it's all just something to waste time, something to drag this out. Maybe they didn't get paid, or maybe they're looking to get some bonuses. I don't because that has to be
that is
like
preposterous. We don't
I
take
don't,
bribes.
bro. I saw something. I don't know who did it, but they used the AI bot in Bing to make a case. It's
Yeah.
like, man, they just it's like a circus or crap show, for lack of a better term, what these people are doing.
No, yeah, yeah, you know, and as much as I wanted this to pass, just to kind of give one to the other team, at the end of all this, it's like it makes no difference to me, anyways. You know, I didn't wake up with this news here that's happening and say, "Oh, great! Now my whole gaming hobby is in shambles. What will I do now?"
Right,
You know,
right, right.
oh
But I got
no,
a question.
I have
I got a
nothing to
question.
play now because the Activision is dead. I was like, "Oh no."
Well, Call of
I got
Duty
a
Black
question
still
though.
coming to Xbox.
What's the appeals process like? Does this go before a judge? Does Parliament get involved? Because, like, when what's her name from the FTC, right? Right?
Yeah,
The
Lena
head of
Khan.
FTC, Lena Khan, right, went up against Congress. Congress was asking us some tough questions. She didn't even get the money, by the way, because that was the reason that she even went up to them in the first place. It wasn't Congress asking, for some oversight over the whole situation, right?
yeah.
Because that situation is technically still ongoing. FTC ain't made the decision. But they came up and asked her, some questions because she's over there asking for money, and they're like, and by the way, spoiler alert, she didn't get the money.
Of
She didn't
course
get
not.
approved for this money, right? So, like, so pretty much, even if the FTC was to say no, Congress is going to step in because they already, like, particularly like, and folks, I'm gonna bring up some, left versus right stuff just to address the way it is. Don't get. I'm not trying to get political about just
They
saying
butthurt.
because there was another podcast about it, and then like
It went off the
they
rails.
were some people, yeah, they went off the rails, were going too much in their personal opinions about what who they vote for. You could tell who votes for what based
Yeah,
on that, and I don't want this to be about that, right? But
yeah,
the people who were asking Lena Khan these questions were pretty much on the right? Republicans, right? Asking tough questions to someone who's, as far as I understand, a Democrat, right? So they're asking
mhm.
her some tough questions, right?
She's the
And she didn't have
Democratic
answers
nominee.
for, right, and didn't have no answers for none of that stuff, right? Didn't have answers for none of that. And at least for here in America, what we're concerned, right?
America.
It's an American company. Why are you
Right.
capping for a Japanese company? Like, what is this about, right? And she didn't really even answer the question, right? And of course, like I said last time, like, why no one steps up and say, hey, you didn't answer the question, answer the question. Like I was, moderating a Twitter space the other day, and that's what I said.
Nah, she didn't
When
answer the
someone
question.
asked me,
She don't get her money.
right, and that's why she didn't get her money, right, exactly. But what I was saying was, yo, like, okay, I'm moderating this conversation that's going on, right? And so I made a rule that, yo, yes or no questions are to be answered with yes or no answers, right? You gotta answer what's been asked of you, right? And then that goes for both sides. And anybody who's violating that was getting kicked out because I was the co-host. I had the power to do that, right? And I kept it like that. And I was very militant and very tough about it. So they sat there and they had to answer questions bluntly that they clearly didn't want to have to answer, right? So the same thing with Lena Khan, that should have happened, but that never happens, right? That never happens in these congressional things. So back to my original question, like, is there ever a process where now they have to stand before, Parliament or a judge or whatever, where now they need to sit there and answer these things bluntly? Because the CMA is going to have to answer questions. Like, if there's going to be, what's the appeals process like? Is a judge going to hear this? Is it going to be a committee from Parliament, right? Is going to be, people from the House of Lords and the House of Commons is going to get involved in this? Like, because there's some tough questions. All the questions we're asking now about cloud gaming and this coming out in left field, I imagine these individuals that have the same questions, right?
Yeah.
And these need answers, and they can't be ducked and not answered. They got to be answered. And I know in the UK they way more militant about that sort of thing. You can't just be with the rah and not really answer what's asked of you.
Yeah, they skirt around the question.
Yeah, you can't skirt around the question. In the end, you're still gonna have to give an answer. Yeah. Right, like a clear answer, so that it could be no debate on what you mean. So what's that appeals process like? I don't think anybody's even talked about that yet.
Yeah.
And that's good. And that's key to this.
You basically have to appeal to them. It's like when you get in trouble in the NFL. The commissioner handed out the punishment, but you appeal to the commissioner. With the CMA, that's pretty much what it is. But
yeah, that's the thing about it. You make the rules, and then you're the one who chooses if the rules are being abided by, but you make up the rules anyway. It's like, why even make the rules then? Just go by whatever you're going to choose. It's like,
just wing it, right?
All these processes make no sense. The same person who makes up the rules is the same person who decides if the rules are being followed. That should be a different thing. That's why, I keep talking about Congress or Parliament or a judge or something. Right. For this oversight, somebody else is going to now come and look at it and see if everything was dealt with according to the rules. It shouldn't be the same one, who's doing that. Because if Microsoft takes the FTC to court, a judge is going to decide, right?
Yeah.
I can't see how in the UK it's not so, one of these dudes with those white wigs on, right? Not doing that. It's just supposed to be that, but it won't be. What the heck?
Yeah.
Well, you know what I think? I think they that our partners across the pond are taking this opportunity to put the ball back in the United States court. So once it comes here, and it goes through their whole appellate process through the court, and it's received over by a judge.
Wasn't that the case with the FTC in the first place? Like, well, let's do this and let's see how the CMA reacts.
Yes, it was.
But see, the thing is they don't have the same process. They're not going to have someone oversee it and go to like a whole court type of thing. I think they're throwing the ball back in the United States court, and once they do everything they need to do, this is an American matter. By the way, it is two American companies who seek to merge. So once the United States is taken to task and embarrassed in court, then the CMA and the EU will just fall in line, because right now they're only doing what Lena Khan asked them in the first place.
Yeah. Jay says the CMA knew they couldn't block the deal off the console issues because they knew Sony was going to lose that part. So they went with cloud issue and ran with it. Still to protect Sony.
Exactly, literally. But so now when the FTC, we already know how bad they are at these court situations, right? They keep losing, right? And especially with the shellac that Lena Khan got the other week, I don't see it going any other way. Like, and me and Realist were discussing this beforehand, and I guess thank God I happened to hop into Twitter to see that you invited us to come in here so we could discuss this further. But I don't remember exactly what I said to you, Realist. But what date did I say at the FTC thing? It wasn't June 25th like I thought. I think it was actually
May
next
25th.
month.
I think you said.
Yeah, May 25th. I think. Yeah. So we're about to find out next month because also Brad Smith, not Brad Sam. I keep confusing those two.
I know it's me too.
I want to quote. I'll have to paraphrase because I can't remember exactly the quote. But low key, he's like, "Yo, if the UK don't want to play ball, we'll leave the UK out of this, and the UK won't get none of this, and then we'll just do our own thing without them." That's the way it's. I forget exactly what he said, but basically,
so can they do
like
that?
UK is not open for business? Yeah, they can. They can just not. Okay, listen, they can merge, right? And then in the UK, they just don't get access to none of it like that.
Yeah,
And
you can't tell a company
they'll
where
be
to do
access,
business.
not
An
get
American
access to
company wants to
what?
doing their own thing.
To Activision specific games or
Yeah,
everything.
yeah, yeah,
Well,
probably. In
well,
at least in the cloud.
if this is about Activision, and that's where the disconnect is. I would assume that it's just Activision games,
Yeah,
or would they bar Microsoft, right, and apply like a 5% tariff to any business that they do complete there without their approval? There's all
Yeah.
kinds of ways around them, around
yep,
this,
yep.
but I think Microsoft did everything in this contract by telling them they wanted to get all these approvals that they would do with the approval of these regulators as a courtesy and formality, because they don't need to have them approve it, because there's no case, especially here, once
Mm-hmm.
and you've heard it several times that Lena Khan does not want to go to the next level with this. They keep it in their court.
Yeah, because she knows they're gonna lose if they try that. Even I think her own judge on her side, right? Like the judge that she in their system, right? Like she already lost in that already once
Did the
already.
judge
Isn't that true?
say it's like, look, you don't want to go there?
Yeah,
Yeah, they've had former chairs that come out and say this is a loser. You
yeah.
know
It's
what I
like,
mean?
Lena, you're in over your head. It's like, just don't, just
And she
back
keep
down.
clowning herself in front of Congress and all of that. This is not good. Didn't get the money. Yo, listen, like when it's up to vote or whatever, for her, like if she needs to be replaced, I'm like, she'll be out of here pretty soon, no matter what happens, right? In the end, like they're gonna get her out of there because like she can't do her job. She's not being objective. She's being
She
very biased.
can. She's just doing what she came in to do.
Right. And on top of that, like it makes it look bad for women who want to be in positions of power, like because it's more emotional than logical, right? And it's gonna make women look
Yes,
bad who want to be in these positions now.
and
Like
not only that,
that's bad.
and seeing who she is, I'm like, isn't she a bit young to be in that type of position?
A lot of people say that.
Exactly. Yeah, a lot of these younger
So it's
folks
like
are the ones who are against
not.
these sort of things. Yeah,
I mean,
that's how they
I
see
know
it
we
now.
should like depending on age, but if you're gonna run FTC, if you're gonna be like the head person, then you gotta have some experience to kind of run that position, right? And
Mhm.
her being in her, I think she's in her 30s, right?
Yeah, she's in her 30s.
She's in her 30s, like early 30s. I was like, what experience do you? Sure, I'm sure she's very book smart and very smart of what she's done in the past,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
to run a business, not a business, but a sector like the FTC, you got to have some like FTC experience. Like,
She continually proves like she's not capable, and like Rilla said is true. Like past chairs, her predecessors are all calling her out. Like, nah, she's been looking bad for a minute now. Like there
yeah,
are people who quit the FTC who
because
were
of
under
her.
her and said, yeah, and they said literally it was her. They tossed her under the bus, right? And this
Yeah,
has nothing to do with the ABK deal, right? But because of the ABK deal, this came to light, right? This came to light when this committee, Congress asked her what was up, and this come to light. But even before that, I think actually a lot of it had come to light. They all
yeah.
said this is her, this is her, this is her, this is her. So no matter what happens with this chick ain't long for this, world in terms of being the head of the
This
FTC. I
kind of
think good riddance for her.
this kind of reminds me of her. Like she's trying to do everything by the book and like uphold the laws, right? Which you can't knock her for it,
But
right?
the law doesn't say a big company can't buy another big
She wants to
company just
rewrite the
because.
laws. To,
Right.
Right.
She wants to rewrite the
Well, this kind
laws
of
literally.
reminds me of I just finished watching Andor. Have you guys finished that?
No,
The
I've
Star.
never watched that series.
ain't
Well,
started.
there's a guy in there who's kind of like an officer, and he's left in charge of this sector, right? And something bad happens without trying to give anything away in his sector, and his boss told him, just here's an excuse you should use, leave it at that. Well, this guy is by the book guy, this officer who's being left in charge, and it gets him in like big trouble, right? Because he was told to leave it alone. Don't enter, don't make a case like you're trying to make a case. Here's what you should do. And he didn't follow the boss's instructions. And now everything's just going to crap for him and just not going the way he thought it would because he's such a dedicated Empire officer and wanted to do everything by the books, by the Empire, that it just kind of backfired and everything. It backfired in his face.
And
Yeah.
that's exactly what's going on. But yeah, I just want to put to this mindset of the youth nowadays. Like it's like Patrick Klepek, right? He posted how he's surprised that this is happening like this, and then his tweet immediately after that, he responded to his own tweet, and he's like, by default, he's against these big mergers just on GP alone. I'm like, bro, all these things are more or not black and white like that. It's far more, variations of subtleties of gray. You can't just be against because it's a big thing. And I noticed a lot of the youth are like that. Lena Khan, Patrick Klepek, there are all these younger folks. That's all they know. They don't really have the experience or knowledge to understand. Like we were young, we might have thought. I remember thinking that way when I was young, but experience in time, I've learned that no, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah,
it just doesn't work. Like there were so many other details. It's like, yeah, you can't say it like that.
That's like when Hollywood makes those movies about how a company is run by like 20-somethings. Mm-hmm. And then here comes a 30 or 40-year-old guy with experience that comes in and like puts everything to right.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like, I get it. Young people want to make an impact, want to change the world, but you're not there yet. You got to be that late 30, 40-year-old guy or woman to make an impact. You're not going to make an impact at your 20s.
Yeah. It takes time and experience to get to that level where you can make.
Now, there's an exception. You got your,
no, but you want that youth. No. I want to say this real quick, but you want that youth, that piss and vinegar in the beginning to get you to that position when you're at that age where you've learned all that thing. That's what that piss and vinegar is supposed to be focused towards, right? Yeah. To build yourself up to understand these things, to learn, and then to make a wise decision. But when you're just youthful and you just think it's like these principles, your principles are great and all, but it's still got to be in the real world, bro.
Yeah.
The real world.
Yeah, this is nuts. It was disappointing. But you know what? Like I said at the beginning, it was like, it doesn't change anything to me. Nope. I'm still going to game. I'm still going to game on the Xbox. Oh, no, we didn't get the deal. I guess I'm going to switch over to PlayStation. That's not going to That's not going to happen. Okay? Because these people are on Twitter. Twitter doesn't represent everybody. But at the same time, that's where we go for our kind of foolishness. People are going to say, oh, where are you going to game now because Xbox didn't get ABK? And I was like, well, the same place I've always been gaming on Xbox. Yep. Nothing was taken away. That's the thing. Mm-hmm. I'm not in a worse off place because ABK failed. Yep. I'm still in the same place. And even if the ABK thing went through, it wouldn't make a difference to me. I'll still be in the same.
Yeah. You're just saving some more money. That's all. You're saving some more money.
Yes.
Yeah, but which is cool, right? But think about it like this. Let's say the deal falls all the way through, right? Microsoft pays ABK their $3 billion, as is the contract that if it doesn't go through, they owe them $3 billion, right? When the Sony deal ends, I think it ends this year or next, they are done.
Yeah.
It's fooling for not watching Andor now. Bro, I watch Star Trek. You already know this. I'm not a Star Wars fan heavy like that, bro. I don't hate Andor. I just never watched it. I'm not real interest. None of that.
I like Star Trek and Star Wars. I'm
just more Star Trek and Star Wars. I just don't watch it enough to know or care. But anyway, the point I was making is, like, in the end, Sony is screwed because when the deal is over with, they're signing a deal with Microsoft. That's a buck. We already know that, right? Like, Sony is screwed, right? And I guarantee you all these other publishers and platforms and all that stuff that spoke out against Sony, they knew what they were doing. It didn't even matter. Like, forevermore, the whole playing field.
Look, I'm not backing up this crazy Sony guy because once gets in trouble, it's like I'm not going down with him.
Yeah. They're still screwed. Like, Sony is still screwed. These other publishers and stuff already, like, too many secrets have come out, and there's more to come, by the way, right? Yeah. Like, Sony is forever scarred. We already said this countless times, but it bears repeating, especially now, that they are forever scarred over this, and they may never survive this whole situation still because they're gonna do a deal with Microsoft. And now Microsoft can be petty because because the same FTC and CMA can damn say nothing that if Microsoft gets the same deal that Sony did, right? And they could do it where they block stuff for 2 years before Sony gets it. Because if Sony could do it, why can't Microsoft, right?
Yeah.
Let me hear them say any different. Like they are going to come after them in all those ways. Like they're gonna make all these deals. They're gonna buy out all these smaller devs and get contract. Yo, fine. Let this happen this way. You only made it worse for you. At least they spent all that money on Activision, Blizzard, King instead of all these other smaller things that now they're gonna put all that money that they didn't. Okay, so it's 69 minus 3, 66 left over to spend on all of this stuff, bro. You done opened up a whole can of whoop asses getting poured all over you, bro. It's just
So I was reading some threads on the Twitter, and it was funny to see some Sony fans go in there saying, yeah, we're glad this is blocked because, when are we supposed to get Starfield on the PlayStation? What about Redfall? And what about Forza? And what about these other games? It's like, you can say the same right now.
When are we going to get Forza?
It's like, you can say the same thing about the games that's on PlayStation that are exclusive to that platform.
Exactly. Like
it's
all
like,
the stuff
when
going
are we
on
going
with
to get
Square
God
and
of
them.
War? When are we going to get, these other exclusive Tlu?
When are we going to get Final Fantasy? When are we going to get, Final Fantasy 14 even? Like Square needs that money. They need to spread that out more so there's more people playing that MMO of theirs.
So
like
it's as always, this has been repeated many times. It's okay for Sony to make things exclusive no matter the cost. But when Xbox does it, oh no, they're the bad guy. They can't be doing this.
Double standards,
what the heck?
Bro.
Huh?
It's a double standard.
It is a double standard. And somehow they're either don't want to admit it or they're just too blind to see it. These people, It's like, oh no.
No, they see it, but they won't acknowledge it to you.
Yeah. No, they won't. They won't at all. So, all right.
Yeah, so let them dance and be happy because the doom is still
Well, they got
coming.
nothing
That's
else
all.
to be dancing and be happy about.
No, they got Forspoken, bro. What you mean?
Oh, God.
That's
I
game of the year contender.
I forgot that's still in the.
It also Hi-Fi Rush.
Hi-Fi Rush, yeah. Oh, yeah, they wanted Hi-Fi Rush, too.
Yeah, no, I'm saying Forspoken also Hi-Fi Rush. It charted on NPDs.
Oh, did it?
That's always a cause to celebrate in the PlayStation community.
Yeah.
Yeah, NPDs, Metacritic, all the stuff that has nothing to do with actual gaming. That's what we celebrate here in Ponyland.
I need to get a reasonable, respectful pony guy on here and have his take.
You have one, me.
Ah, fool, you ain't no.
I don't know. I've been playing PlayStation since before it came out in America. I've had every PlayStation.
No, but
PS5,
there's some
right?
there's a big group of fanatics out there.
But that's the thing about it. You can't get a fanatic who could be fair to have a fair conversation and still be a fanatic for PlayStation.
Is all there can be and nothing else.
Right, but you're not going to get somebody who's fair because that's very by definition of fanatic. So you're not going to get somebody who could then be even at the same time. It was like Rillis was saying about those types of dudes. You gave a name to that where they're trying to be smart but they're really being stupid. But they, what did you call that, Rillis?
Dumb.
Articulate bulls.
Yeah, articulate BS. Articulate BS. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And like what they do is they act like they're being fair and honest. They act like they're making these great, even-sided arguments, and then they drop that boom that like what the, you know what I'm saying, right in the middle of with this. It's like, dude, you can't be serious. But they say it in such a way that makes you think, oh, that was so professional, and he said well. But it's bullcrap. It's bullcrap.
Yeah,
but,
man. Once you decipher what they say, you realize they're really just saying the same stuff if they had just said it the ratchet way everybody else does. Who's like that?
Honestly, what do you need a PlayStation guy for? Like, what is he gonna tell you? Like, I
just want to hear him and hear that guy or girl, mainly a guy, because that's. I mean, I don't know that many girls that play PlayStation. That just to hear his fanaticalism. If That's even a
It's
word.
all over Twitter. Do you really need that toxicity here?
Oh,
in your show,
I
bro?
want to hear the audio of it. Yes.
Well, because like I've not yet to. Okay, when I hear the ones that they really don't console war and like their PlayStation, they like the PlayStation games. But the ones that go out of their way to try to make PlayStation better than Xbox in some way, those are the weirdos. It's
Yeah.
like,
But I
but
like weird
the
though.
thing is, but those guys can never tell you why they truly love their PlayStation. The only thing that they can talk about is how PlayStation outsold the Xbox and how Xbox's strategy is failing.
Yeah.
That's the type of conversation you get from them. They don't talk about gaming. They talk
Yeah.
about these dudes are talking about stocks and they don't have a share. You know,
They don't have a share.
like, yeah, they don't have a share. I don't understand like why they even care if Microsoft made $1 billion. And like, dude, Game Pass is not stopping. Microsoft is burning petty cash right now, even for Activision. Even if it would have been for Discord or TikTok, they spent petty cash on Nuance, $19 billion, and none of y'all know what it does. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? They have to spend this money. And Game Pass, if it loses money, if you know business, it's a write off.
It's a write off.
And it's like these guys, they just talk. And
Yeah.
what media has done, it's done such a great job of muffling and blinding gamers into thinking that they're media members. When we should be talking about games, we should be playing our games, we should be talking about how great our experiences were, but we're talking about sales numbers. We're talking about whether a company loses money. We're talking about what's sustainable or not instead of just playing the games. Like whether it's sustainable or not, that's up to Xbox. And if it's not sustainable, guess what? We just go back to paying for our games that are now $70.
So Doctor over here is saying Technos is the positive pony. So I may have to interview myself.
Oh, you should do a whole skit, man. Wear two hats. You see how you got that green Houston hat of yours? You wear a green Xbox hat, right? And you wear a hoodie or whatever.
I've
and
done
you
a
from the
few
left,
shorts.
and then you
I've
do
done a
one
few
to the
shorts
right
of
with a PlayStation hat in blue. You do all that.
I've done a
That
few
would be dope.
shorts where I got my Xbox shirt to represent Xbox, and I have a PlayStation shirt to represent PlayStation. But I make the PlayStation guy furious or some rock hard dude, right? Because I'll have him in black and white and have some kind of rock music in the background while Team Green is kind of chill, like, hey man, it's like just play the
Or
games.
some slow beats, in the
Some
background,
slow
whatever.
beats, man, some happy music,
Yeah, maybe
And
the smoking some fake herb, like I don't know, you roll up a
yes,
fake
like
blunt or
I cut
whatever.
over
So
back
there's
to
some smoke.
PlayStation. PlayStation guy is like so mad about
Bro,
everything. Like, oh
you
man,
you,
sale.
you you already played the fanatic, the dude who kicks his wife out of the bed and sleeps with his
Mm.
PlayStation.
There you go. See,
That was
You
oh,
don't
I
funny.
remember,
did
you
But
do
don't,
that.
you don't remember that skit? Yeah,
I did do that. I
that was the
woke up with it and I
PlayStation
gave it a
fanatic.
kiss too.
that was funny. That was funny as hell.
Exactly. That's
But
that's that's
listen,
that's
because
is
all I
that
know is
the
Alex is
elements you
always
really
saying
want?
I'm talking about him all the time. There's a clip of him that I've seen all over Twitter lately that people are using where he got real mad, right? He was talking about how much Game Pass makes and how it was simple math. And he got up and he grabbed his chair like he was about to flip out. He's like, y'all just can't do simple. And he does the, like he pantomiming, calculate all that stuff, right? And he was so right, but he was so full of piss and vinegar. But it's ironic because I've seen him say opposing shit, right?
Yeah.
He's literally said opposing shit in the like a month before that about Game Pass, like it's like when people say, but Game Pass saves me money because I don't have to buy these games. That's simple math the same way too, right? I could have flipped out at him when he was saying that against the logic of that, but then he comes popping up this, right? So that's how obvious it is because he really got, and they've been using that clip. I see that clip of him saying that all over the place, right? So just like, yo, what the hell? That's kind of odd. But that just goes to show how obvious it is to him, right? Even though he'll say whatever to his advantage, but overall, he does stick with the logic, right? Frit the same way. And Frit in particular is getting clowned as, oh, he's an Xbox when he's a PC guy. He doesn't have an Xbox at all. But it just goes to show that that's how logical and sensible all this situation is to even them, right? Even they agree. But all this shenanigans has happened. So,
Hey, man,
this is all part of the plan. All part of the plan.
Hat, man.
Yeah, it's a nice little fresh cap. I see you, man. Still
Yeah,
flat
you know,
with a
Xbox
flat brim, all
screen.
of
I
that.
got my team on it. Actually, I bought this 2 weekends ago when I went down to
Hmm.
Houston to go watch 2 games against the
Hmm.
Rangers, and they split while I went to those 2 games.
Hmm.
So I was pretty sad about that because they lost one of them.
Nothing one
Anyways,
one.
I've been wanting to get a new cap, and I really can't find anything good here in Dallas because it's all Rangers crap.
Oh,
And so I went down to Houston with a couple of buddies, you know, go check out some of the breweries, go take them out to some places to eat as well that they never been to.
mhm.
While I was at the one of the games, I went to the team shop. It's, you know, team shops, man, they're kind of overpriced sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Kinda.
But every now and then you'll find a good deal. Every now and then. Well,
But why can't you just go online though
this
to buy
hat,
the hat?
this hat,
Yeah,
$10.
this hat right here. This hat right here.
$10.
It's because it's probably a St. Patty's Day hat.
Huh?
I said it's probably a St. Patty's Day hat,
It could have been. The
and
only
that's
thing I
why
don't-
and that's
the
why
only
it's for the
thing-
low.
The only thing I don't like about this hat, it has that trucker mesh in the back. But it's a fitted
Bro,
hat.
stop capping
It's a
like you didn't wear Von Dutch back in the day.
It's a fitted hat. So I like fitted
I
hats
didn't.
more than the snap-on crap. I don't like the snap hats. Right? So as you can see, it's a fitted
Yeah.
and it fits well. Now, the reason why I don't buy online caps anymore online, I don't. Because if you look at the new caps today, if you go to the store and if you take one of your caps that fits perfectly on your head,
Mhm.
you're gonna see that they've been cheaping out on the material. They don't make the bowl of the head deep anymore. They make it shallow where it just kind of sits on your head now. And I hate that.
Yo,
wanna-
I've noticed that on a lot of people where they're slack in their head when they're wearing their hat. You can see on the sides, on the left and the right, like a lot of slack. Like at first, I remember a comedian was joking about somebody who was like, "Oh, his misshapen head." But then I started seeing that, and at very first, I started clowning people that I knew with that. But then I'm noticing, holy crap, is that
It's
really
the hats, dude.
The
It's
hats
nice-
are doing that.
The hats are doing that because look, as you can see, it kind of goes down behind my ears, right? The new ones, they go above the ear, and I'm like, it doesn't sit right. It just doesn't feel right when you put it on, right? And so I took a good hat that I know I wear all the time to Houston, and when I went to the store, my buddy's like, "Hey, why don't you get that hat? Why don't you get that hat?" I was like, "Oh, okay, let me check it out." And I kind of like, and I told my buddies, like, look at the two hats. See how this one doesn't like is not as high or deep as a bowl as the old hat. He's like, "Man, you're right." And I was like, "I told you. This is why I don't buy hats online because I want to check them out first at the store to see and make sure that the bowl itself is
Well,
deep enough." You know.
Let me show you something. See that right there? Now I'm not just talking shit, right? I'm just saying I'm wearing that, right? You saw that on the screen? Okay. I bought this and I bought another one with the black logo, right? Now normally I wear the one with the black logo at work, you know, just so it, you know, from far away, like a regular black cap. But I talked to my boss. I don't know. I just happened to walk past him one day, and he was like, you know, he just walked up to me and he was like, "I figure you're just wearing that one with the logo, and I could tell you it's okay if you wear the other one." So I started wearing this one, although, you know, whatever. But the point is, I bought the both of them at the same time, right? And I would happen to be at Macy's, like the day I met my girl. Like I went to New York, we had some breakfast, whatever, and went to Macy's, and I happened to see them there with my size. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy two. I bought the one with the black logo and one with the white logo. Yeah. And I didn't have those issues there. But of course, that's New York, right? It's New York hat in New York, of course, is gonna. And so, yeah, I guarantee you, if I went to Jersey, I might have had the same situation that you did with the hats. And I
haven't
bought hats in forever.
So
I don't
it's
know.
hard for me to find fitted hats, you know. So I have to go to the store and get the size that I need. Sometimes I got 7 5/8, sometimes 7 3/4. Right? It just depends on the hat. And so if I buy a hat online, I usually buy two sizes and then send one back once I figure out which one fits better. Right? But now that I've been seeing is that, like I said, the bowl itself, the material, it's not as deep, so they're trying to cheap out on it. You know? I got tons of hats, man. I got this one.
Oh yeah, you got a lot of hats. You always wear different hats.
So I know what fits, right? So when I got the new Astro Space City hat and I put it on, I'm like, why does it feel weird? It doesn't feel like as snug as like wrapped around my head like it should be. And then when I start comparing my old hats with the new hats, it's like, dude, they're chipping out on the material, man. They're not making it as deep as it should be.
Man, what? But it's got the official like MLB logo on it and all that stuff.
Official MLB, yeah.
Okay, what if you went to the MLB website itself or the Houston Astros website itself, like their marketplace, instead of Amazon and all the other places? Like you go direct to the team website, you know, where they sell.
Yeah, the places I've gone
It's the
to
same
has
as the
been.
store.
No, I went to the team store and it was the same.
That's what I'm saying. It's the same
Online?
as the team store.
Yeah. So,
but that would mean they're selling two different types, like the crappy one online and then the good ones in physical stores. Like
Could,
that's
could it be that there's a new style that you old people just missed out on?
it could be a new style.
Yeah,
that,
I think it's more of a style. 'Cause like I said, I've seen a lot more
maybe
hats.
people's heads
black
are
like that.
smaller this time. So, you know,
Because like, I haven't been able to wear a hat in like.
well, you got your dreads and stuff, man.
Right.
You got. Don't you do it like with the hole in the top?
Hey, in fact,
No.
that would have helped him a lot better because all that slack for his dreads. Ironically, you would think it would have been a better fit for you.
Don't you put a hole in the top of your head?
I buy 8s, right, and then I'm able to get 9s online. But like that's if I don't get my hair twisted or nothing. So I just threw away this nice, super nice black and gray Boston cap, this black on black Texans cap, all fit because without hair it's 7/3/8. I had a Buffalo hat, Jaguars hat, Steelers hat.
Off the top of my head.
Yeah, you know you got that cranium, you mega mind. You know what I mean?
I'm 7 3/4. Yeah.
When I was shopping,
your hair swung.
When I was shopping for an Eagles hat during the Super Bowl, I went to 3 or 4 different stores until finally I went to like a local store, and they had what I wanted. They didn't have the color combination I wanted because I wanted a green Eagles hat, but they had like a black and green one. I was like, I'll take the black and green one because I know it fits well now. You know. And I told the guy,
man. Well, tangents at the end of the show instead of the beginning. Loving it.
I know. Cool. I gotta go because
cool.
I gotta go take a shower and get a haircut because I got a big thing coming up this weekend. But we'll talk tomorrow if you guys want to do a thing tomorrow.
No doubt, man. I gotta get back to work myself. So I'll check you guys later.
All right, guys. Everybody in the chat room, thank you for coming out. It's unfortunate with this news in CMA, but hey, we're not worse off anyway. So we're still in the same place no matter what. So you guys enjoy it, have fun, game on, and we'll talk to you guys tomorrow, maybe.
Peace.
Peace.